Well, the Astros didn't come prepared tonight, as it seems like they let first place walk the plank off the ship as they were pillaged once again by the Pirates. Man, these guys are tough, and I've got a special guest with me to talk about it. Let's go.
Jainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
Hey there, and welcome into another edition of Locked On Astros. I'm your guy, H-Town Wheelhouse. We are here whether they win or lose, and I've got my special guest with me. I'll introduce him here in a second. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Astros, making us your first listen every single day. Look, check me out on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Check out the show on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Discord, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make us your first listen. And Eric the Man Heisman, he's on the IL right now. He was here earlier for the two shows we did for the trade deadline. But look, man, my man just had knee surgery. So we brought my guy in, Ethan Smith, the most valuable Pirate in the universe. Ethan, welcome to the show. Tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
You can find me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan or at Locked On Pirates for all of your news and analysis of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And don't forget, these two teams used to be in the same division together. So, you know, it's somewhat of a rivalry still, even though we only play 3 times a year, but still, It's still fun.
No, yeah, it is. The Pirates and the Astros have a history, trade-wise. We like to take Pirates pictures, make them better, and then they continue to have success in other places, i.e. Musgrove and Cole. So we're just wondering when Paul Skeens will arrive in H-Town. Joking. Watch out. I don't want Ethan to make me walk the plank. But man, tonight's game, after a crazily active trade deadline, we'll get to that second segment, Ethan. And then look, first segment, we're just going to kind of talk about these first two games. Second segment, we're going to talk about breaking down the trade deadline for each team, because both teams were kind of involved in trade talks, and I kind of wish one of them would have happened, and one of them I had no interest at all. And then the last segment, we'll kind of touch on a pathway to success, because with the Pirates making moves, it says that they're all in. I know, things are kind of jammed up in the wild card area for both leagues. And you know what? This commissioner, that's what he wants. But before we get started, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the most exciting and easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use a code LockedOnMLB, all lowercase, for your first deposit match of up to $100. So I'm just going to say this from the Astros perspective. This game was marred by injuries. I mean, not injuries, injuries to our ego. This game was marred by errors and a lack of production. And the Pirates, once again, put up crooked numbers that the Astros just simply cannot respond to.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been the issue for the Pirates all year, is they've had an issue of putting up those crooked numbers. They get 9 times out of 10, they're getting a very good start from their starting pitching. And what ends up happening, like we kind of saw on Monday's game with Paul Skeens, is it just takes a while for this offense to get going. And sometimes it takes too long for this offense to get going. I was at the game last Tuesday against St. Louis when Paul Skeens entered into the 9th inning and it was 1-1, and you're sitting there kind of twiddling your thumbs like, why are we not winning this game? And I think that's what their plan was, especially after watching it kind of happen again against Houston last night, where your starting pitching has been great. You get another great start from Bailey Falter, who comes off the IL today. You just need the offense to basically back up the great starting pitching you have from Skeens, Keller, Falter, Perez, or not Perez. He's gone now. We'll get to that later. A lot has happened today, guys. A lot has happened to where a lot of guys still think they're here. Gonzalez, even. You look at all this stuff, and it's like, look, the Pirates pitch well. The offense has to show up. That's what's happened the last 2 days from unlikely players, mind you, H-Town. I mean, you're looking at Michael A. Taylor, who's hit 2 absolute nukes in Houston. You look at Joey Bart, who's had an up and down year, who finally is kind of figuring some things out, I think. And the top of the order didn't even really do anything today. You only got 2 hits from your top 3 guys all night. So to win a game like that, these are the ones you look back on and say, yeah, we'll take that one and run.
I know, because look, the teams combined for 21 hits and only 8 runs. The Astros 3 errors, that is what defined them tonight. Look, I mean, Hunter Brown didn't look terrible, but Michael A. Taylor, what in the heck is this guy? Is this guy trying to harken back to the days of when he was highly touted as a prospect? And, the 2 shots he hit, I mean, look, Minute Maid Park, we all know, is a hitter's park, and any home run can look majestic, even a pop fly. But those are no doubters. I mean, when you've got guys like that going up there and doing what they do, and then, the Astros had a very strong output again by Yainer Diaz. Yainer Diaz, 4 for 4 tonight, hitting 295. He did only have the 1 RBI and the 1 run, but I think another thing, which was his home run, but they were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Now, the Pirates were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So it seemed like both teams did their job to keep the winning away from their own team, but the Astros seemed to do it a little bit more because, like I said, if you had 21 hits, you would think that 10 hits and 2 runs for the Astros, that's not productive. I would take 6 runs and 10 hits, like 6 runs and 11 hits. But, this is just one of those games where the Astros now, they won probably their biggest game of the year 4 games ago, and now they've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, and it's interesting because going into this series, Pirates fans were kind of reeling. I mean, they come off of a series where Arizona just flat out outplayed them. It took a comeback from Joey Bart on the last strike of the game on Sunday to even salvage a victory in Arizona. And I think, honestly, games like this were back-to-back nights prior to tonight where you come out and you really just showcase what you're doing and you fight to win these games. It's teaching these guys competitive baseball. You look at Key Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, a lot of the core of this team, they don't really know what this is. And now they're kind of learning it on the fly. And you have guys, thankfully, like Andrew McCutchen, who have done this before, who I think is more important in the ears of these players than he really is in the leadoff spot for this team, because these guys just don't know what it is. They don't know, like, the gravity of these games. Like, even on our broadcast tonight, when it was 5-2, Greg Brown was kind of trembling a little bit because he said the top of the order of the Astros, talking about Altuve, Bregman, and Alvarez, they've been there before. And that's where I'd even say to Astros fans, you guys are still 3 games above 500. You're 55-52. You're in a very winnable division. And of everybody in that division, outside, I would say, of Texas, and even including Texas, you have the most experience in this spot. That's where it is, like
exactly.
I feel like the Astros are just going to always be that team that around this time going into August, they're going to figure it out. The Pirates, for some reason, have just been on a heater lately, winning 13 of their last 18, and have now won series, folks, against Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Houston, Chicago, and I'm forgetting one, St. Louis. So
wow. So
they're not playing around right now.
So, I mean, look, for all intents and purposes, and of course, we don't want to put the cart before the horse, but, how many National League teams have gone to the World Series in the last 5 or 6, 7 years that were wild card teams, that were teams? I mean, 2 of them that beat us in the World Series in 19 and 21, in the Braves and Nationals respectively. And I know Houston fans hate me to say that, but those teams, I remember doing the show with Jake Mastriani from Locked On Braves, and he even picked the Astros to win in 5 games. So it is about getting hot at the right time. And it is about making sure that your ducks are in a row. And next segment, we'll talk about whether or not our teams address that issue. But first, why don't we talk about our friends, Ethan, and you can tell us all about our guys here at PrizePicks. Let me grab this real quick. Sorry. Eric's usually the one doing this on the other side, and I'm sitting here scrambling, looking for my Prize Picks tab. Where did they put it? Is it gone? Nope. That is Prize Picks is purple, right? This is weird.
PrizePicks is indeed the purple one, but
Yeah.
hey, look, all the sponsors. We have all the sponsors on the shows. We got to give them all love.
That's right. Definitely. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring you up on the big screen, and then you just talk about Prize Picks. All right, sir.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and this episode of Locked on Astros and Locked on Pirates is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, and you can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Folks, that means you could turn $10 into $1,000. I think a lot of us kind of think about what we could do with $1,000 pretty often. And you can get in on the excitement with the summer games on PrizePicks. With PrizePicks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and you're locked in. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every single week. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks.
Man, an excellent job and a stellar read there. I mean, I kind of took off like the Astros did, and you ended that read like the Pirates did, unfortunately for me. But that's how the ball bounces. Someone was asking me, Supreme Panda says, do the Pirates hate the Astros?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, these teams used to be in the same division, folks. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
NL Central used to be the team that the division that messed everything up as far as continuity in Major League Baseball, because Houston had to be in the NL Central, even though the Pirates are still the geographic team that messes everything up because all the other teams are in the Central Time Zone, except Cincinnati, I believe. So, we just like messing things up over here in Pittsburgh. It's what Pirates do, H-Town. They mess things up.
That is what Pirates do. Swashbuckling, stealing gold, taking people's girlfriends or whatever. I don't know, whatever Pirates do. But dude, this next year, I've been asking friends across the board that travel, and 9 times out of 10, when I say which is the first ballpark next year, if I go to one on the road, even if it's not the Astros, what ballpark should I visit? They always say PNC Park. And so PNC Park has gone top to my list along. I haven't. Oh, there you go. Along with Fenway and Yankee Stadium and Wrigley Field, which I haven't visited any of those. So next year I hope to expand that. But hey, let's get into this trade deadline talk, and I want to talk about the connection that the Astros and the Pirates had late in the 11th hour of the trade deadline. You heard that the Astros and Pirates were in negotiations, and we've seen this happen before where, Astros are playing a team, whether they're on the road or the other teams in the clubhouse, and they trade straight up, and the players just swap locker rooms and they pop out of the dugout in a different uniform. And everybody's like, what kind of bizarro alternate universe is this? But it sounds like the Astros were trying to get Martin Perez, which I would have actually liked to pick up because we have problems against Perez. And he's a former Rangers pitcher. I think it's good for the intel. And then also a weird one, Aroldis Chapman. Mm-hmm. Now, Ethan, would you have been as shocked as I would have been if Aroldis Chapman would have switched uniforms and come to the Houston Astros?
Yeah. Just history-wise, I mean, we all know the infamous GIF that everybody uses when he was with the New York Yankees and gave up that massive home run in the playoffs. And the "We Are a Family" chant, yes, of course. But yeah, I mean, that would have been interesting. I am kind of shocked that they didn't decide to move on from Chapman. He's on a 1-year deal. He's going to likely end up leaving in the off season. But also, my cat also keeps messing up my laptop. Everybody, she's having a great time. That's why you see me shifting around. With
I thought maybe there's an
Chapman,
earthquake up there. I thought maybe you had an earthquake going on in Pittsburgh. Okay,
no.
good.
But with Aroldis Chapman, I mean, obviously everybody knows Chapman at this point. He's up and down. He's a guy, you know, you're going to get the great parts of it. You're going to get the bad parts of it. And that was what was interesting about them not deciding to move on from him. But they didn't. So he's still here. As far as Perez goes, he obviously goes to San Diego for next to nothing. It was a DSL player, a left-hander that, mind you, the Pirates also kept some of Perez's salary to get this kid. So they must really like him as a left-hander, 18 years old. So really nothing on as far as what they traded for Perez. But as I was mentioning to you before they started, I mean, you have Skeens, Keller, Jones when he comes back, Falter, Gonzalez, and Ortiz all in this rotation. Where were you finding a spot for Perez? I think, you know, wherever you could have sent him was fine. And seeing Houston and Pittsburgh kind of get thrown together there, but nothing come out of it, I thought was very interesting because, I mean, they're playing each other. So, you know, something had to happen, of course.
So Astros fans are asking, Mr. Solis is asking if we can pre-order Skeens right now. No. Can we do like an old school layaway thing? Like, you know, when you see the toy in Walmart and your mom puts down like $15 and she's got like 5 months to pay it off, you know?
What do you guys want to do? Trade for Skeens now and then do like an Ohtani kind of negotiation where you just give us a prospect for the next 10 years? Just give us your number one prospect for the next 10 years.
We'll give you Singleton, Lance McCullers Jr., his coffee shop, Chas McCormick. Dude, no offense, Orbit. I'll throw Orbit in there. I mean, that seems like a pretty good deal.
I think, and I'll give you a non-negotiable. I think we get the train.
Oh man,
you are getting Paul Skeens in this hypothetical scenario, so I think we should get the train.
Would y'all be willing to give up Bobby Dynamite in the train? That would be a wild thing to get. But you know, in all seriousness, how do you feel like your Pirates did at the trade deadline? What kind of grade are you giving them? Because I know the grade Astros fans are giving us.
I gave them a B+ on my live show earlier. I think that a lot of people in Pirates land did get frustrated that Jazz Chisholm's not a Pirate, or Luis Robert, or Vlad Guerrero Jr., a lot of the big names. Because a lot of people forget this is the first time they've bought in over 5 years. Last time they bought was in 2018 with the Chris Archer trade that's become infamous among baseball history at this point for being one of the worst, quote unquote, in MLB history. But, you know, they did what they had to do. They go get Brian De La Cruz from Miami. They desperately need offensive production from the outfield. He does that for Miami. The strikeouts and the whiffing are a little bit worrisome, but I do think the 18 home runs coming in is already a big deal. They also shockingly get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. That one kind of came out of nowhere, and they didn't really pay anything to get him. And I find it interesting because they sold very low on IKF. We traded our number 29 prospect, Charles McAdoo, who has actually been one of our better offensive prospects in the system this year. But IKF's in the middle of his best offensive season that he's ever had. And on top of that, his defense hasn't went anywhere either. And we all know the defensive versatility that IKF brings throughout everywhere he plays. And then you bring in Jalen Beeks and a Mets reliever. I keep forgetting his name all of a sudden. And you bring in Nick York from the Boston Red Sox for Quinn Priester, who might even be able to contribute this year. So what I like that they did is they didn't sacrifice their very good prospect capital that they have in Bubba Chandler and Termarr Johnson, Braxton Ashcraft, Thomas Harrington, list goes on. But they filled needs without really sacrificing all that. And I think as a smaller market team that doesn't spend a ton of money, that's kind of how you have to do it. And that's the way they decided to do it. And I think they did fine. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to say the Pirates were winners at the trade deadline, but was Jorge Soler the big move at the 2021 deadline when the Braves won the World Series? No. Look, and he goes there again this year.
Yeah, look, I think the trade deadline really has to be graded towards the end of the season. How did those guys help you? And those four those 4 moves, Peterson, Jorge Soler, and the other 2 names I forget for the Braves that year absolutely helped him. And what's weird is, speaking of Jorge Soler, he's back in Atlanta after signing a deal with the Giants.
Why don't they just sign him in the offseason, H-Town?
Yeah.
Stop giving up stuff for him. Just sign him.
It doesn't make any sense. And you know what sucks is Chris Sale is having a career year, and I just think I just think the Braves are going to fall short. But look, I want to get my take on the Astros trade deadline moves because look, I would give the Pirates an A, just because I think y'all address some needs. Brian De La Cruz, former Astros prospect, very good guy, was emotional. I think when he left Miami, had really endeared himself not only to the team but to that city. The Latin American culture in Miami is deep down there, and he was a real big part of that organization. And hey, the Miami Marlins are building up some really good prospects right now. They're trying to be the Orioles junior, if I can say that. But here I want to tell y'all about SupplyHouse, because this is a phenomenal group of guys. I want to talk about them. All right, this episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. SupplyHouse.com is the place you need to go for all your plumbing, HVAC, and electrical needs. Your easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts for over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free trade master program. Every trade master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. And also make sure you make the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every single day. And hey, since you're here, why don't you make Locked On Pirates your second listen every day? Look, I'm telling you, there's not anyone I trust more in this country than Ethan Smith when it comes to Pittsburgh Pirates, any kind of Pittsburgh sports history. I don't know if you noticed, he's got a Penguins jersey in the back. And we've talked about the guys of old, the Lemieux and the Crosbys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, an odd quarterback situation they have going on over there, and just all kinds of stuff. Ethan, real quick, remind the people where they can find you. And you know what? I would ask y'all, go subscribe to his channel. He does a phenomenal job. Tell them where they can find you.
Well, you can find my show wherever you find HTown Show, YouTube, and all your audio platforms. Find me on Twitter, literally right there. It's fun. I talk about all kinds of weird stuff. House of the Dragon, the Boys, Pirates baseball, Pittsburgh sports, the whole 9 yards. And Locked On Pirates is the Twitter as well. Rich, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think baseball is better when the Pirates are winning, truthfully. I really do. It might be a little biased on that, but hey.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you notice in Richard Elmer's Abbey, it is a picture of the Dodger Stadium sign. It says, "Welcome to Walker Stadium, Christian Walker Avenue."
Nice.
That is great. I love people owning the Dodgers. And dude, you know what? Forget the Dodgers. We're not here to talk about the lost again Dodgers. We're here to talk about the Astros and the Pirates. But man, Dana Brown, we actually went live when we thought it was straight up Kikuchi for Bloss. We were like, hey, okay, we'll take it. And then they're like, oh, 2 more. And I literally said, come on, man, look. Ain't anybody but Loperfido. Like, the people love Loperfido. We've had him on the show. I mean, good guy. I know he's been striking out a lot. I know a lot of people are like trying to play down how good he could be, but still, he came in hot whenever Abreu went basically AWOL, and now he's gone. He may not even play baseball again, but it's just one of those things where, you go, okay, 3 players, that's a really high price. And that, I think, upset the market, where I think Dana Brown was playing chess with the rest of the league. He kind of screwed up the other offerings. They were like, oh, hold on. Did you see what Houston gave up for a 3-month rental? I think we need a little bit more. And then they go and they get their pitcher from the New York Yankees, who all the Yankees fans were completely down on. They were like, oh my gosh, oh good, take this guy away from us, take him off our hands. And the Astros say, you know what? We can fix him. We can fix this guy. And so the Astros feel like they got their guys. They feel like they didn't give up too much, but they felt like what they gave up was what the market was asking, I guess is what I'm saying. Because everybody here in the show, Ethan, believes that they did give up too much. So Caleb Ferguson, you say Kikuchi. I gave the Astros, look, I'm going to give them a D minus, but I'm going to give them a C. I'll give them a C plus if they make the playoffs. If they get past the ALCS, I'll give them a B minus. Like, I'll give them all the way up to a B if these guys can contribute. It just depends on how far they go. What do you think about what the Astros did? Do you think because of what the market was demanding and the Astros system not really being able to uphold trades like that, that's really what held them back?
Well, and truthfully, to take it to an overarching point, I said this on my show for the past month. From the beginning of July, we knew that the seller's market was completely outweighed by the buyer's market. I mean, I labeled 5 teams that I saw as sellers. That was the Angels, the Rockies, the Marlins, the Athletics, and the Nationals. And the White Sox, sorry, not the Nationals. The A's didn't really do anything. I mean, they traded Paul Blackburn and Lucas Erceg. Doesn't hurt them at all for what they're trying to do. The White Sox held on to Robert and Crochet, which everybody expected them to do. And then the Rockies didn't do anything really of note except, like trade Jalen Beeks to the Pirates. And then you look at everything else and you say, okay, now you're starting to see this market kind of shape itself. And I can understand where Astros fans feel a little upset about that price for Kikuchi, but that was the price for everything. I mean, you look at what the Padres traded just to get Tanner Scott, and you're kind of scared. Like, you're like, oh my God, these are the prices. And that's where, even as a buying team, I kind of wanted the Pirates just to flirt with trading Holderman or Bednar if that was the price that was to pay for relievers. And they didn't decide to do that really at all, except with Perez, and they didn't get anything next to nothing with him. But for the Astros, again, and from a Pirates fan, this is going to be a little interesting, is I hear you say giving it a D, but then if they get to the ALCS, it's a C. For the Pirates, I mean, it's just about us getting to the postseason for the first time since 2015. So it's hard for me to kind of gauge that expectation. But also, folks, I mean, you look at what the Mariners did in the AL West. They're going for it. Now, even after all that, and I said this to a good buddy of mine the other day, are they better than Houston or Texas? It's an argument to be made there. Texas made some little moves.
They did.
And Texas made the World Series and won it last year. They're still going to be involved in that conversation. I would probably argue, H-Town, that these 3 teams can probably all make the playoffs still. So I know Astros fans, you guys might be a little scared, but from an outsider, it's kind of like betting against the Patriots when they had Bill Belichick. They're going to get there somehow. It's like when the Patriots would lose those first 2 or 3 games, and it'd be like 1-3, and oh my God, they're done. Folks, don't forget that people thought the Astros were done 2 months ago, and you guys are 55-52.
Thank you. See, thank you, Ethan. I need to bring you on more often because I have been trying to fight back the negativity, and I get accused all the time of being a homer. I'm like, you guys don't realize who this team is. Now, there is one thing that kind of skews our pathway to the playoffs is what they just did with Kyle Tucker. And the wording is very interesting. Kyle Tucker was making a push for an early season MVP candidate when he fouled the ball off his shin June 3rd, Ethan. He's now been moved to the 60-day IL, but they said it doesn't change his timeline to return, which I will add, there has been no timeline ever given for his return, which says to me the Astros are playing coy once again. They hate telling us what's going on. They're the most close to the vest club that I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm thinking, what is it going to be? September? Do we have to get into October for Tucker to see an at bat? He fouled a ball 100 and something miles an hour off his freaking shin, and he was really, Ethan, on his way to. I don't think he would have won it over Bobby Witt Jr. or Aaron Judge, but he would have been in the conversation. He probably would have been the third guy in that race. But if Tucker comes back from the outside looking in, do you think that hurts the Astros' chances once they get to the playoffs because he's such a key part of this offense?
Like if he doesn't come back?
Yeah.
I mean, by that point, if you're saying that he's been out since June 3rd and you're looking at him and you're saying, okay, he hasn't played since then. I mean, at that point, you're just kind of getting used to life without him. I mean, the Pirates are very familiar with that with O'Neal Cruz last year. Had a great start to the year, 9 games in, breaks his leg, and you don't have him for the entire year. They started 20-8, and they still managed 76 wins. I mean, truthfully. And I feel like that's kind of a good framework to think about it that way, you know? Like, I mean, Kyle Tucker, don't get me wrong. Great player. But at that point, you're kind of thinking about life without him. And that's what I would probably urge Astros fans to do, is just think about life without the guy.
Hey, man, looks like you got some fans here, Ethan. They're like, I like this guy. And then someone goes, I like Eric. This is not an Eric versus Ethan thing. Ethan is not here trying to tread on Eric's ground. Eric is literally on the IL. I told Eric it was his fault we didn't get Vladdy Jr. because he was going to be a throw-in on the trade, but now that he's on the IL, we didn't get Vladdy Jr., so it looks like we got snowed.
There you go.
But yeah, man, you know, this has been great. I think it'll be cool to see the Pirates back in the playoffs. I'm definitely always rooting for you guys. You know, y'all are one of those teams, and I think Sully talks about this with you, that just has this really rich baseball history that I think kind of gets swept under the rug, if I'm being honest. There are a few teams in Major League Baseball that people forget have had runs over the years and have had players. And, you know, I mean, from all the way back from the great Roberto Clemente, rest in peace, you know, just to guys when y'all had Bonilla, when you had Bonds, Sid Bream. I mean, the great stalwart Pirates, you know, and I know there's a ton more we could sit here and name, but, you know, I just say good luck to you guys. I really hate that we lost the series, but I think maybe this is a good wake-up call. And, I mean, this offense just has to do more. Man, you guys got Paul Skeens. That dude's a gold medal in any trophy case, and so I think that's going to be fun to watch. And I would like to say this for Pirates Nation. I really hope y'all hold on to Paul Skeens. I hope he's the one pitcher that does not get away, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to hope so. But also, I mean, that conversation has been going on already about him leaving and all this stuff. The kid debuted on May 11th. Can we not have that conversation yet?
It's insane.
Can we just enjoy what we're watching, which is a literal generational talent?
Oh, 100%.
State of Pennsylvania at PNC Park.
Now, I don't know if the Pirates TV broadcast showed it, but before our game, Space City Home Network showed Skeens and Bregman chopping it up. We actually lived in Louisiana when Bregman was an LSU Tiger, and so two former LSU Tigers. And before we go, I'll just have you answer this question from David. David says, "Hey Ethan, what's wrong with Jordan?"
Absolutely nothing. Did you not watch the game Monday where David Bednar was literally petrified to throw a pitch to the guy? He gave up a run to not pitch to the guy. If I could have Jordan Alvarez in PNC Park, I would probably do very unfaithful things to have that swing in PNC Park. He would probably hit about 90 home runs if he was in PNC with that short ball.
That would be
I'm serious, H-Town.
Yeah.
It's 320 feet to left. You know how many balls would be in the Allegheny? People wouldn't put their boats out there anymore because they'd have to go call their insurance company to fix their boat after he was hitting home runs out there. Jordan's fine. He'll be just fine.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Look, man, This has been a great show. I didn't mind going over the 32-minute mark because this is quality conversation. And Ethan, I apologize for it being so long for bringing you back. We'll have to bring you back when it's you, myself, and Eric, the trifecta. Bring that back, and good luck the rest of the season. For myself, for Eric, for Ethan here, and all his production crew in the background. You see Sid the Kid back there working the mic and everything. So thank y'all for tuning in to Locked On Astros, Locked On Pirates. This has been a super duper crossover. And you know what? No matter what happens, rain or shine, we're here to cover your team. Check out Ethan. Subscribe to Locked On Pirates. Follow him on socials. Subscribe to ours, Pirates fans. We might talk about you because we might see you in the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe weird things can happen. A Pirates Astros World Series. Okay, maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse. And on that note, we're out. Good show, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. And we're going to end the show